This is Disclosure Now, a show where we expose the truths that are nefariously hidden from humanity. Today we examine the Department of Government Efficiency, which has been spearheaded by Elon Musk, who received 0 votes from the American people, effectively bypassing the due process of democracy in the United States. Is he trying to save the United States money, or is this really an attempt to take full financial control of the American empire by an unelected technocrat oligarch?
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Disclosure Now with Arkeem, Ra, and Kat. And today we're going to be talking about DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, and we're going to be talking about U.S. aid. Now, the first thing I want to say about this is there has been talk about U.S. aid being corrupt and there being issues with U.S. aid for quite a long time. It was founded by JFK. In what year was it?
1961.
And it's been used as basically an extension of like United States political power, which the ethos, the argument behind USAID is it helps us maintain our political power in the world abroad, and basically just keep American stability worldwide, things like this. And what we're seeing right now with the Department of Government Efficiency coming in is a lot of this corruption with the USAID is being exposed. Some of the things that the money is being spent on. However, the lines are being blurred between reality and what's real and what's not. Obviously, because of the disinformation age that we all live in. So I just kind of wanted to show a clip here real quick. That Kat sent me, where this guy kind of breaks down a lot of the disinformation and stuff that's been going on out there when it comes to this, and we're just going to let the video play, and then we'll kind of talk about what this guy said.
The U.S. did not spend $600 million on sushi. That came from a parody account. No, Chelsea Clinton did not receive $84 million from USAID. No, Politico did not receive $8 million from USAID. As far as trans athletes, there were fewer than 10 transgender athletes among the 500,000 plus students who play NCAA sports. So there is no war on women's sports. Now let's look at some of the stories that our press secretary has been telling. $70,000 for production of a DEI musical in Ireland. That grant came from the State Department, not from USAID. The grant funded a 2022 music festival, not a musical, at the U.S. Embassy in Ireland. $47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia. The grant included $25,000 of federal spending, and it came from the State Department, not USAID. It was awarded to Universidad de los Andes in Bogota, Colombia, as part of a public diplomacy program. $32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru. Also, not a part of USAID funding. The money was awarded to the Fulbright program in Peru. Fulbright is an international educational exchange program sponsored by the State Department. So none of those programs that she talked about received funding from USAID. Everything I've just said is a fact that can be proven. But please, if there's anyone out there who can disprove anything I've just said, do it. Now, I've seen a lot of creators on this app asking why Democrats are upset that Elon Musk and Donald Trump are exposing all of this so-called corruption. Put simply, we don't trust them, and we have no reason to. Particularly when you consider that Elon Musk's Starlink's contracts in the Ukraine were being investigated by USAID. Does the U.S. government waste a lot of our taxpayer money? Absolutely. No one is arguing that. But Elon Musk is not qualified to go into these government buildings, fire people, lock people out, and plug in his own hard drives into these systems to acquire this so-called evidence and then post it on X. Stop and consider for a moment what Elon Musk did just a few short weeks ago with the inauguration. That became an international incident. And whatever you think about his intentions, the reality is that citizens and world leaders around the globe were outraged by what he did. And he did nothing to resolve that situation. In fact, he doubled down and posted schnozzy jokes on X. What Elon Musk and Donald Trump are doing right now is creating chaos. They're riling people up. As Steve Bannon put it, they're throwing 2 or 3 things at the American people every day to see what sticks. So please, the next time you see a story on social media that just sounds too incredible to be true, and my guess is you're going to see one within about 2 or 3 swipes away from this video, ask yourself, should I be spreading this story, or should I maybe take just a few minutes to look into it?
So, just kind of some fact checking there. I pop in and pay attention to what the truther community is saying about this issue still. And I know how they're basically saying that this is all great and this is all good. Even though I've basically warned about Elon Musk, the fact that he is, he's basically worshiping AI. He's a technocrat, billionaire, who basically wants to have the AI start controlling things in the government. And I don't think he believes that average people deserve rights. I think that what we're in the danger of entering, if people don't get their act together, is a surveillance state that's controlled by AI. And in the name of security, they'll provide people that. Now, as far as with USAID and the funding of these things, I'm 100% fully for a government committee oversight of people going in and looking at this information and doing it transparently. I think that's a great thing. But I think the idea that having Elon Musk, who was not elected by us at all, show up there with some 5 young kids and have access to our social security numbers, all this dangerous information. I don't want a guy that has these weird premonitions of a super omnipresent AI that he openly talks about. I don't want him to have access to information that he can feed into any sort of computer. I don't want him to have it on a hard drive. And I think this whole idea that this is being done for the American people and that this is not being done under some sort of great swindle by a billionaire technocrat is unrealistic and dangerous.
Yep.
And obviously, not many of my former colleagues in the truther community really agree with me on this issue, but I'm going to continue to speak up the truth as I see it, and I believe that this is a collusion of power that is technically shouldn't be legal, in my opinion.
Yeah, he hasn't gotten, neither him nor his team have gotten they just completely bypassed the necessary security clearances, and they were locking the doors to prevent people from getting in and stopping them.
I mean, last time I checked, our officials are supposed to be elected. Now, there was a bunch of Congress people and things like that, senators and whatnot, got together today to talk about DOGE and bring up some of their grievances with it. And some people were thrilled to see what's happening as well. A lot of different opinions across the aisle, some of them varying in between. But I'm just going to take a look at some of the points that need to be made here. From what I would agree that they're cutting spending, and that's good. But whose spending are they cutting? Where? How much power? This is the thing I want you to understand, sideways, and just people in general to understand. When it comes to these people coming in to get more control of things, it always takes problem, reaction, solution. Right now, we have a very, very deep problem with spending with a deficit, and there's definitely corruption going on and illegal things happening. But I am just wary. And thankfully, our government does have checks and balances and things like that. So hopefully, we can do this transparently and in a way that benefits everybody. But there are reasons why people have grievances with what these people are doing, because it's like think of like during COVID, when COVID happened, they would sneak defense bills, like
Yeah, nobody's
stuff
talking about
stuff with
military spending.
they would sneak, like with COVID spending bills, they would sneak military like stuff in there. So you'd have to read through this piles of paperwork to get to the fact, like, wait, so I thought this was about this virus. What's up with all this military spending in here? And so what I'm saying is this is why I said there's a great American swindle, is because they're coming up out here and they're saying, look, we're gonna get take care of all these money problems that people have in this country, and we're gonna take care of everything. The reality is billionaires don't pay taxes, and this guy's got billions of dollars. He's not paying taxes. He's living off of government subsidies. He's literally a corporate welfare recipient who, if it weren't for your tax money, his corporation wouldn't exist. He steals people's ideas. He's not a genius like people think he is. He's dangerous. He has dangerous ideologies when it comes to AI and worshiping AI, and I've seen this in person. That's why I testify this as a secret space program survivor, is I've been to an alternate reality where basically the AI, is this. I'm wondering if I'm watching him trying to manifest this. That's what it seems like to me. So I'm 100% for us finally evaluating these programs, the money we're spending. But why is an unelected official, a billionaire, why is he the one doing it? That's my question. And why is he allowed to get this information and keep it for himself without security clearances? Yeah, so I'm seeing a lot of stuff, and I'm glad that it's being called out. I mean, when you see government corruption and corrupt spending, I'm glad it's being called out, but I don't trust all of this and some of these Congress people that made great points today. So let's take a look at that real quick. Good day to you, Kira, and everybody here. Thanks for being here. So this is today. This is literally like 4 or 5 hours ago or something like that. So this is fresh. Let's take a look at this.
Hopefully,
Does the witness want to answer the question?
no,
Just
only to
quickly.
say that yes, there's a tremendous amount of savings that can be found from the streamlining rule, but also work requirements in the program is another big area that can be done in reconciliation, and that's could save a significant amount as well. $241 billion in federal spending over 10 years.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome. I now recognize the gentleman from California, Mr. Garcia.
Well, thank you. Thank you to all of our witnesses for being here. And I want to just start off by making something clear. I think we're all here to fight against the lies, the corruptions, and the attacks on our social safety net. Now, we should in no way be cooperating with House Republicans who want to shut down the Department of Education and destroy Medicare and Medicaid. And we should not stand by as the richest man on the planet gives himself and his companies huge tax cuts while the American people get absolutely nothing. Now, I find it ironic, of course, that our chairwoman, Congresswoman Green, is in charge of running this committee. Now, in the last Congress, Chairwoman Green literally showed a dick pic in our oversight congressional hearing, so I thought I'd bring one as well. Now, this, of course, we know is President Elon Musk. He's also the world's richest man. He was the biggest political donor in the last election. He has billions of dollars in conflicts of interest, and we know that he is leading a power grab, also abided by and encouraged by Donald Trump and, of course, the chairwoman, Congresswoman Green. But I also want to run through what DOGE actually is going to do. It's a demolition plan that's going to run through our government. DOGE is trying to abolish the Department of Education. That means opportunities denied to kids. It means you're ripping away opportunities for children with disabilities who are dependent on this money. You're also halting medical research, which is also critical, which we have to...
I know that people are critical of like the schools in this country. We've talked about the talented and gifted program, how there are like obviously bad things going on with schools, but let's look at the basics here, people. How many people basically rely on the public school system for childcare at this point? How are we going to solve that issue? How if we just get rid of we can't just get rid of the Department of Education overnight. If people have problems with the Department of Education, that's something that should be reformed. That's not a department of our government that should just be gotten rid of. That's a department of our government that should be reformed so that it actually works for the people. How we do that is very arguable and very tense in these political times where people are so divided. But I would say that I just think that the idea that we should get rid of the Department of Education could be potentially an absolute disaster for this
It
country.
will be. It's going to make it so that only rich people will be able to send their kids to school. It's going to make it so that basically if you have a disabled child, they will either just get shoved in a room all day or not being able to go to school at all, and they won't get any additional assistance. Like there's so many, like the way that this playbook operates, the Republican playbook always operates is you cut funding from these government programs, then you say government programs don't work, and then you use that as an excuse to cut them further. It seems like the same type of playbook to me. We need more funds put in our education, not less.
I'm not even sure what that question is. Am I demon possessed? No.
What? What? That's it?
Somebody's asking if aliens. I don't know.
Oh.
It's weird. It's like Am I demon possessed? I don't know. No. My ex-wife thinks that idolizing and cherishing an out-of-bail felon who was found for liable for sexual abuse and business fraud sets a bad example for our children. I think it sets a great one. Well, I can see why she left you, bud. That's all I can say. I'm guessing that was sarcastic, though. I'm guessing that you're. If that's a serious comment, wow. But I'm pretty sure you're just joking. Anyway, here we go.
Stop. The idea that we're going to eliminate or destroy the Department of National Institutes of Health, NIH, is crazy. Let's talk about the Department of Labor. We're talking about protections for working people across this country, where people can actually complain about abuses their companies are making against.
And that's a real big problem with honestly for me, like the undocumented migrants thing that people aren't talking about. This department of the government cannot protect them. These people are being taken advantage of. They're not being paid enough, like all these things. So like there's a real divide going on right now between like why certain things are even happening to begin with. Like both parties and like there are people who have benefited from this migrant crisis in a lot of ways by the cheap labor and all of those things. And but the migrants, they don't benefit because they basically they can be deported at any time. They can't speak up against anything because if they are being abused, they're too afraid of being deported.
Just like you've talked about with the school situation.
Yeah,
It's the
so
exact same thing.
and yeah, because I used to work at a sanctuary school where, like, I saw how like there was weird stuff going on with the programs with this school, and which was a sanctuary school, and meaning like there were children of illegal immigrants there, and that was under the radar. Through a church and all this stuff, and there are children who are having weird things happen to them, like when it comes to like MK Ultra and programs and stuff. And I have this theory that they were using that school because the fact that they're not documented means that they can take advantage of these people. So that's something that I really wish people would like look at more, like this idea that these people are trying to take advantage of us, come here, be criminals, and take advantage of like there's these kind of frankly racist ideas when they're being taken advantage of by our country.
Yeah, they pay taxes and they can't claim any benefits like food stamps or anything. Like
anyway, we're gonna continue to watch what this guy has to say, Mr. Garcia. I have only started paying attention to politics lately just because before it felt like nothing ever got done and nothing mattered, so I wasn't really paying attention during the Biden administration. It just seemed just like a nothing
business
burger
as usual.
sort of, but there's just this is accelerated. Everything's accelerated, so I'm paying attention more. So I think that let's listen to more what this guy has to say.
Them and their workers are now going to be in danger. let's also talk about the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Another huge issue for us. Think about the scammers and fraudsters that will be empowered across this country because Elon Musk wants, essentially, these companies have more power over consumers and over people across this country. Look at the Centers for Disease and Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. That is actually what's being discussed partly today. Healthcare, we're talking about being denied to millions of poor people, working class people across this country. And now, of course, they're on to their largest target, the U.S. Social Security Administration. We're talking about the destruction of the actual social safety net in this country. We know that 1 in 5 Americans collect Social Security, seniors, disabled people. This entire plan is about hurting the American social safety net and destroying our institutions. And it's important that we actually call out what is happening at this subcommittee. This is not about working with the richest man on the planet. This is actually about empowering. This committee wants to empower the richest person in the world to hurt people so they can take all of this money that they so-called want to save and then give it to themselves, their companies, and their billionaire friends. That is the attack that is happening in this committee and across this country, and it's important that we call it out.
I think it's really unrealistic to think that they're not doing this. And here's something I want to explain to you guys. And some people are not going to like this when I explain this. And I kind of don't care. Like, oh, it's not letting me remove it. Okay. There's this idea of hyper individualism in our society, just on Earth in general, but especially in Western culture here
In
on
America,
Earth.
yeah.
And it's toxic. And this whole idea that socialism is bad and it's not good and it can't ever work, as somebody who's seen multiple timelines, other planets, all this stuff, I'm telling you right now that that's bullshit. These spiritual people that you hear talking about how capitalism is what's going to save humanity and it's like the spiritual source and communism is the enemy and all this bullshit, they're fucking stupid. And I'm sick of hearing these people. I'm sick of hearing them talk out of their assholes. It's just like absolutely ridiculous. Like, this is what we're supposed to be fighting against in this community, is this hyper individualism and this idea that we are not a collective organism as a species. And what we used to have in this country before Reaganism was the rich were actually taxed.
At like
We weren't giving them
19%.
at like 19%. We weren't giving them corporate subsidies and basically letting them whore out our country and use it for everything it's worth and be basically corporate welfare recipients, like Elon Musk is. That's how he built his empire. That and a literal apartheid slavery from Nazi money. His parents, his grandparents are Nazis, which is why he's doing the Sig Heils. This guy isn't going to save us. That's all I got to say. Of course, our government has been corrupt as shit. Of course, there's a lot of problems. But the idea that Elon Musk is going to come here and save us, and this idea that's like social cohesion and working together as a collective and as a species is bad. It is mind control because it's literally the opposite of everything that's true. You are part of the earth. You are part of the environment. Like any planet where people they're in symbiosis with the earth. If they got peace, if they don't have warfare, if they don't have all this bullshit that we have here, they're living in symbiosis with the earth and they understand socialism. They understand being social creatures and living under a social.
Yeah, and the fact that like social safety nets in this country are just so bad. There are so many services that have been, and a lot of it is due to racism because America is a deeply racist country. We've had so many social services taken away from us that they still have in other countries. Like, do you know that and they used to have this here in America too. In other countries, like when you have a child, like they send you home from the hospital with all this baby stuff and they send somebody in, to show you how to take care of the baby and stuff like that. Like we used to have stuff like that in this country, but they took it away after integration happened because they didn't want, black people to access it. And like in other countries, like they give you, time, if you're a woman, when you have your period, you get days off for your period, stuff like that. There's so many social safety nets that other places have that we don't. And the fact that the idea that, the few social safety nets that we have are considered wasteful and they're going to be gutted as wasteful spending. Like, that's absolutely disgusting.
Yeah,
to me.
basically, like if you believe in hyper capitalism and like zero taxes, this is what like basically just like corporations being able to control everything, and what it leads to is this whole idea that the disabled don't matter, that they shouldn't be allowed to exist because they don't contribute to society. It leads to eugenics, basically.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying,
Not everybody can work, and that's okay. Like, not everybody can work, and that's okay.
and I think what we're proving with this USAID thing, and here's the silver lining, is because like they're doing a look over here. Elon Musk is, but don't look over here. That's what he's doing. But let's look over here for a minute. He is exposing the fact that our tax money, a lot of it is being wasted on stuff, and a lot of it is fraudulent. It's being exaggerated. It's being blown out of proportion in certain ways, sure. But there is corrupt government spending and basically illegal things that are happening. And we should take a look at this. And hopefully that regardless of what he wants, what his goals is with this, hopefully we can catapult that forward. We can start examining our spending. But basically, even with the rich not being taxed at the amount that they should be in the United States, we still have a lot of tax money. And we are in debt, but it doesn't make any sense. We shouldn't be in debt. We should be thriving. We should have good social services, good roads. Our bridges shouldn't be crumbling and stuff like they are. And this all has to do with the fact that, like, the social infrastructure
We
is
shouldn't
just...
have a bunch of people living in tents outside. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I don't know. I just worry about these mentalities that are being forged, because we're looking at like a lack of empathy and like being used as an excuse for a lot of things, and like basically empathy is dangerous. Like, and I don't know,
The sin of empathy.
the sin of empathy. And I've literally seen like pastors and stuff like that talking about this, like on YouTube and stuff like that, like the sin of empathy and all this stuff. It's crazy. Anyway, he's just pointing out some of the stuff going on here.
We also know, of course, that Elon Musk is sending his unqualified DOGE staff to carry out this agenda across all these agencies. And in some cases, actually teenage staffers. No accountability, no experience, and problematic records. They're trying to rob you, and they're probably a minor. Thank you.
Sorry, that's good. That's good.
That's funny.
That's funny as fuck. I love that.
So, is that true? He's literally got minors in there?
I don't think I think like the youngest I've seen is like 18, 19. So I'm honestly not sure if any of those kids are actually minors, but they're close enough, so it's still hilarious.
Yeah, I think he's trying to get attention. This guy, he's trying to get,
The gentleman
do
yields,
iconic
and I
moment.
now recognize the gentleman from South Carolina, Mr. Timmons, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I find it sad that my colleagues across the aisle can't take this seriously. We have $36 trillion in debt. We run an annual almost $2 trillion deficit. When I got elected 6 years ago, we had $21 trillion in debt. So in 6 years, we've added over $15 trillion to the debt. And guess what? President Trump ran on fixing this problem. President Trump told the American people he would right the ship financially, and he said during the campaign that Elon Musk was going to be the person to lead this charge. The man that has turned business after business around, he's
He's crashed several businesses.
He's crashed several businesses, and like, we didn't elect him. Just because he said he was going to do that during his president like during his election campaign doesn't mean it's okay. Doesn't mean it's legal. Yeah. We didn't agree to this. Not everybody voted for Donald Trump. Even the people who did vote for him, they did not vote for Elon Musk.
Yeah, you need people with the proper expertise who can pass the proper security clearance. Like, this is not it's our information, our social security numbers, our money. Like, you need to have people who can at least pass the proper security clearances, who have the proper expertise.
because he succeeds at his endeavors. And that's why President Trump has appointed him the head of this effort. This is a very serious problem. And it's incredibly hypocritical that my colleagues across the aisle are complaining about this because Joe Biden signed his name and wanted the American people to believe that he had the ability to forgive $250 billion.
I keep on talking about this too. What a psyop it was to have Joe Biden as our president, because like he was inept and the Democratic Party was inept. It wasn't getting anything done. Like they were just garbage, just trash. You know, they were more worried about identity politics than feeding people, clothing people, getting rid of the homeless problem, stuff like that. Not that we shouldn't care about identity stuff, but like it's been used as a shield for them, I think, and to not get anything done and to be performative instead of actually committing to action. And yeah, it's just they've been so inept that these people can come in and very easily look like they're getting shit done, because for the last 4 years nothing happened, nothing got done. That they never, you know what I mean? They didn't didn't do shit. It was a nothing burger of a presidency. They only made mistakes and blunders, like for instance, like just pulling the troops out of Afghanistan and stuff like that. So I want to reiterate here, I'm not making excuses for the Democratic Party or the left-wing establishment. They have totally dropped the ball. They have totally fucked up. They have allowed these people to come in and do this. They have allowed this to happen by not listening to their own constituents, by not listening to people, by not committing to action what they say they're going to do, by basically they just don't do shit but take our tax money. So there's a reason why people are looking at this and thinking it's a great thing. And I'm not going to gaslight people and say that we shouldn't evaluate what these people are doing with their money, because we absolutely should. But should we have Elon Musk in charge of it? Absolutely fucking not. So that's just really where I stand on this. And I don't know if I've been clear.
With the signature. Guess what? Supreme Court ruled he did not. That's our system of checks and balances. The president, Biden, he clearly was experiencing cognitive decline. He didn't even have the ability to be charged with a crime as determined by his own Department of Justice.
He's right. It was sad to watch.
$250 billion away, redistributes taxpayer dollars. It's just crazy that we can't come together to address the greatest national security threat facing this country, our debt. Now to the task at hand.
I think we can. We just, like, people shouldn't be gaslighting each other on us. The left shouldn't be gaslighting the right on the fact that the spending is out of control. We need to evaluate it. And the right shouldn't be gaslighting the left on the fact that Elon Musk is an unelected official who has been put in charge of this, and that is arguably very dangerous.
Well, and also all of the spending it's already been public information, I'm pretty sure, like for a while. Like I'm pretty sure there was like a website that the Republicans put together like years ago back to track government spending. So I'm pretty sure they already were putting that out there.
Thank you for the super sticker.
Yeah.
And Emily, stop coming to my channel, you dumb motherfucker. I don't want you near me anymore. I saw what you said to Brian. I don't know who the fuck you are, who you think you are, like claiming that like you support me and then saying that you support Lucifer. Like, go fuck yourself. Like, the fact that you said that shit disgusts me. You're less than a fucking bug to me. You all you do is complain. All you do is poor me, poor me, poor me. Why doesn't anyone help me? It's because you're a stupid piece of shit, you dumb motherfucker. That's why. Get the fuck off my channel.
Yeah. Also, nice Pepe profile picture.
Seriously, keep making profiles. Keep coming back. I'm just gonna keep banning you. Fuck you. Fuck Lucifer.
Yeah, I didn't. Wow, that was the guy, huh? Yeah, fuck that shit.
Sorry, that guy pissed me the fuck off, dude. That I have weird stalkery type individuals that are like crazy. They're literally mentally ill. They're nuts, and that guy was one of them. And I don't know if you saw the post that Brian screenshotted after we stopped talking, where he made it look like I basically support Satanism and support Luciferianism because this guy gave him the ammunition to do that, which I find it very, very hard to believe he didn't do that on purpose. Like, I find it very hard to believe that this guy is in some sort of controlled opposition. But anyway, I want to say thank you for the super sticker.
Yes.
If you want a free Patreon subscription for a month, I can actually give you 2 because it costs $5 a month. Just email me. Oh, wait, sorry. arkimra@gmail.com. Sorry for being so heated there with that guy, but
No, it's okay. We gotta address that. It's actually good that we address that. You had a chance to address that publicly. I think so.
yeah. Anyway,
Medicaid fraud. Mr. Talcove, if we implement enhanced identity verification and enhanced income verification, what will happen? How much money will we save?
You'll save hundreds of billions of dollars. Identity verification, elimination of self-certification, and monitoring beneficiaries will prevent these transnational criminal groups from accessing those systems at scale, so legitimate people who need the benefits can get
I just want to
them.
say, like, okay, like, if you're saying it was public information, like, what was being done about it? What I think should happen now, what I would like to see from my Congress as an American citizen, as a fucking taxpayer, all that stuff, right? What I would like to see is them form a government commission on this where they work together unilaterally to figure out where money is spent, and they make sure that there are checks and balances when they decide, okay, we're not going to give money to this anymore, we're not going to give money to that anymore. So they can't just shut down a bunch of social programs that help people in the name of trimming the fat. That is a very realistic grievance that the left has, that the Democratic Party has when it comes to this, is that needs to be addressed. Is, okay, let's address this government spending. Let's address where it's going. Let's address the corruption that's occurring and the possibly even illegal things that are occurring. But let's make sure that there's some oversight in what programs we cut and what spending is cut. Because at the end of the day, we did put our tax money into this program to serve the American people, to serve us, to serve our interests. And as long as the money is doing that, it's not wasteful. That's what the money's there for. So I just feel like this needs to be done, like, very publicly, very out in the open, with the American people able to watch it every step of the way. And yeah, none of this should be being done behind closed doors or anything like that. Like, I think it should be very, like, I think like the fact that they locked the doors of the staffers and stuff like that, that they weren't letting people inside, I think that's highly sus. Yeah, I just don't think that anybody should be like, I think we should need to be wary of Elon Musk. That's all.
I don't think that anything that him and his staff want is going to benefit the American people in any way. I think it's just all scam to make him and Trump richer.
So we're going to get actual benefits to people, to American citizens that are in need faster, because if you do it electronically through web-based, like they did in Missouri, where the pilot program saved almost 20% of Medicaid dollars. So all we have to do is adopt what has already been proven in Missouri, and we'll save 20%. To the people out there listening, we spend almost $900 billion every year on Medicaid. And if 20% of that is saved, that's almost $200 billion. We got a 1.
So you're saying the quiet part out loud. Fuck you. I need my Medicaid. I need that. I have DID because of what you fucking people did to me. I'm insane. I need that. Like, this is the shit I'm talking about. That's not wasteful spending. That's our tax money. It belongs to fucking us. What the fuck is this stupid motherfucker talking about? This is what you want? To cut 20% of Medicaid so old ladies and shit like that don't receive the fucking care that they need? Our healthcare system is fucked up enough. I'm done listening to this guy talking. I'm done listening to him. Fuck him. This guy lays it down.
The Trump Musk administration.
Just a second here.
Buffet for fraudsters. And it was because of that 1974 Privacy Act, where data sharing and matching is virtually impossible. Congress needs to change that.
But we can do it retroactively. We can do it retroactively. We can find the people that stole this money, hold them accountable, probably get some of the money back. So I already have that bill filed. That bill, I think, would probably get $100 billion. So now we got enhanced identity verification, enhanced income verification that has been proven in Missouri. It does work. So I'm working on that bill. We're going to drop it soon. That's $200 billion. There's a competition in Congress. I think we should have a competition on this committee. I got $300 billion in savings proposed. We got to all pull our weight.
I was trying to skip past this guy. I don't know
Labor.
what happened.
Alcove. The 7 independent
suit. We do not have the financial ability to continue down this path, and we're going to save this country with or without you. You can kick and scream all the way, or you can get out of the way. I prefer the former. Thank you, Madam Chair.
We're not going to get out of the way. You're not taking my Medicare from me, you fucking piece of shit. It's my money. I pay taxes with every fucking purchase that I make, with all the money I take in, whether it's through YouTube or through jobs that I work or whatever. It's my fucking money. That's the thing that people need to understand about these social programs, where people are like, oh, it's free handled, free handled. Like, for instance, she just lost her job, so she's on unemployment until she finds her next job. She's like, oh, I'm sucking off the government teat. No, you're not. You paid taxes your entire life. That's literally your own money coming back to you. You paid into it. We're brainwashed into thinking that our own fucking money doesn't belong to us. That is a problem. And as a channel that says it's anti-mind control, which we are, we're going to point that out. It's ridiculous that we think that if our money that we pay in doesn't go towards bombing people in foreign countries that we've never going to go to our entire lives, or giving fucking oil companies oil subsidies or some bullshit, if it goes towards us, then it's bad, it's wasteful. It's just like that's literally even like you know, like I said, I'm calling like cat out. I'm like, no, you're not sucking off the government teat. You've been working since you've been a teenager your entire life, and this is the first time you've ever been on unemployment. So actually, no, how the hell you've paid them probably. Can you imagine if you actually looked at the amount of money you've given to the government at this point, what it would be? It's astronomical. And you're taking probably a small percentage of that and feeling guilty about it. That's how programmed we've become.
Yeah, I only said that half in jest.
I mean, she was kidding, but like literally that's how people think.
That's how a lot of people think.
And it's like, no, this is our fucking money. Yeah. If it goes towards Medicaid, good. That's not wasteful spending. Like, the fact that they're even suggesting that is ludicrous. Ludicrous.
The gentleman yields. I now recognize the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Kassar.
This subcommittee is supposedly about looking into waste, fraud, and abuse. So I'd like to start talking about independent inspector generals who are supposed to be looking into waste, fraud, and abuse. Mr. Talcove, do you know how many inspector generals at agencies that were investigating Elon Musk's companies have been fired by the Trump-Musk administration?
No.
It is 5. Ms. Royal, the Inspector General at the Department of Labor had 17 open investigations into Tesla and SpaceX. Do you know what the Trump-Musk administration did to that Inspector General?
No.
They fired him. And I think.
How is that not government corruption? How is that cleaning the fucking swamp?
I think you all know. Mr. Whitson, the Inspector General at the Department of Transportation, was investigating Tesla. Do you know what the Trump-Musk administration did to that Inspector General?
No.
They were fired. The Department of Defense's Inspector General was looking into SpaceX. Mr. Hedler, do you know what the Trump-Musk administration did to that Inspector General?
I believe he was fired.
Look at this fucking clown. Who is that guy? What?
What's that character that Matthew does?
Dude, it's Matthew. It's what's that?
Marshall Stacks.
It's Marshall Stacks, dude. Marshall Stacks is way cooler than this guy. Are you kidding me? Marshall Stacks is way fucking cooler than this guy. Truth Seeker, you're just anomaly, aren't you? You're just him with a different name. Yeah, like, just leave. Get a fucking life, dude. Like, I don't need to explain anything to you. You're an idiot. Like, the people who worship Lucifer are pedophiles. It's pretty easy to see why I don't want to line with them. Stop asking stupid fucking questions. They fucking eat babies and shit. That's why I don't want to be on their side. What the fuck? Well, stupid fucking question.
Thank you. I think everybody on the panel knows what the answer to these questions were. The U.S. Department of Agriculture Inspector General was investigating Musk's Neuralink. Mr. Talcove, now I'll ask you again under oath, do you know what Mr. Trump did to that Inspector General that was looking into one of Musk's companies?
No.
He was fired. The Inspector General at the EPA was repeatedly taking on Tesla. Mr. Hedler, since it seems that you're answering the questions that everyone knows the answer to, do you know what the Trump-Musk administration did to that Inspector General?
I believe he was also fired.
Also fired. At least 5 Inspector Generals that were looking into Elon Musk's companies were fired by the Trump-Musk administration. These Inspector Generals, who are independent, protected by law, they are the people that find the waste, fraud, and abuse and found many of the cases of waste, fraud, and abuse that have been brought up today, fired because they were looking into Elon Musk. At the NLRB, the National Labor Relations Board, which is supposed to protect workers from getting their unions busted by folks like Elon Musk, made functionally broken by the so-called Department of Government Efficiency that really is the Department of Government Efficiency for Elon Musk, not for you. They are trying to shut down the Department of Education, the Department of Labor. You know what Elon Musk doesn't seem to be looking into? His own contracts. Again, I'll ask you, Mr. Talcove, do you know how much money a day Mr. Musk will receive from the federal government for his contracts?
No.
The answer is $8 million a day. Just last year, Elon Musk was promised
Bro, are you fucking kidding me? So you're telling me they're going to trim the fat while this guy who's a multi-billionaire is getting how much money in federal fucking spending a day? Hey, I gotta rewind that. I'm sorry. That what?
The Department of Defense's Inspector General was looking into SpaceX. Mr. Hedler, do you know what the Trump-Musk administration did to that?
Dude. It's Marshall Stack's younger brother.
The panel knows what the answer to these questions were. The U.S. Department of Agriculture Inspector General was investigating Musk's Neuralink. Mr. Talcove.
I'm sorry for going further back than I want to do, people. I apologize for that.
That was looking into one of Musk's companies.
No.
He was fired. The Inspector General at the EPA was repeatedly taking on Tesla. Mr. Hedler, since it seems that you're answering the questions that everyone knows the answer to, do you know what the Trump-Musk administration did to that Inspector General?
I believe he was also fired.
I would skip around you guys, but I'll just mess it up more.
We're looking into Elon Musk's companies were fired by the Trump-Musk administration. These Inspector Generals
I just need to hear this again because it's so crazy. It's so nuts.
Independent, protected by law. They are the people that find the waste, fraud, and abuse and found many of the cases of waste, fraud, and abuse that have been brought up today, fired because they were looking into Elon Musk.
So this is the cleaning of the swamp.
At the NLRB, the National Labor Relations Board, which is supposed to protect workers from getting their unions busted by folks like Elon Musk, made functionally broken by the so-called Department of Government Efficiency that really is the Department of Government Efficiency for Elon Musk, not for you. They are trying to shut down the Department of Education, the Department of Labor. You know what Elon Musk doesn't seem to be looking into? His own contracts. Again, I'll ask you, Mr. Talcove, do you know how much money a day Mr. Musk will receive from the federal government for his contracts?
No.
The answer is $8 million a day. Just last year, Elon Musk was promised $3 billion from close to 100 contracts with the federal government. Ms. Royal, do you know how much the average person in this country who survives on Social Security, one of our seniors.
Okay, so I just did a quick Google search, and within the last 5 years, the government has given him $13 billion of your money, your taxpayer money. This is the guy that's going to trim the fat. This is the guy who's going to take care of everything.
Who's worked their entire life about how much they have to survive on a day.
I do not.
$65 a day. We're not looking into Elon Musk's.
Like, just go on Google right now. Ask it. How much money does the federal government give Elon Musk? It will tell you. It's given him $13 billion in the last 5 years. Just the last 5 years. So,
And that amount is only, they want to use Cybertrucks for the military now, and they want to use the DOGE.
it's corporate welfare.
Yeah.
It's corporate welfare and then he's going to complain about your grandma or the old lady down the street and their Medicare. That's what these people are doing. They're giving Elon Musk billions of dollars while complaining about fucking Medicare. It's disgusting, and you have to be a moron to not see through it. I'm sorry.
$1 million a day. This subcommittee, chaired by Marjorie Taylor Greene.
You know what? That was rude. You don't have to be a moron. The sad part is a lot of really intelligent people somehow are not seeing through this shit because the hope porn is too strong. The idea that they are going to come in and fix things is so nice and comforting that it's not necessarily that everybody's going along with this stuff is stupid. It's like, do you think that the truthers in the truther community, do you think any of them listen to this guy talk? How many people do you think, like, I'm talking with the big names out there, like, how many of them do you think know that Elon Musk gets literally billions of dollars in taxpayer money from the government? How many of them do you think know that? They're selling copium. Exactly. I'm the only fucking person telling the truth over here. Like, do you think it does me any favors? Like, cutting connections with my friend who funds conferences and does all this stuff, and like, it's just, but they're wrong. I can't keep going along with it. They're wrong. They're cheering this on. They're cheering this on. Did they give it or did he earn it? How do you earn my taxpayer money? Can you answer that question? How does somebody else earn my money? Like, can you explain that? Like, I understand if it's going towards public schools or public infrastructure or like roads or whatever, but how does Elon Musk deserve my fucking taxpayer money, your taxpayer money? Explain that to me in the comments.
In the House Republicans is looking into your grandmother's $65 a day. Let me be clear. I think we would all support taxpayer savings. Look into money we might needlessly send to billionaires and big corporations, find taxpayer savings, and send it back to your hardworking family. But instead, what House Republicans and the Trump-Musk administration want to do is they want to look into your kids' lunch money, your kids' teacher's salary, into your grandparents' Social Security. They want to take that money and give it out in billionaire tax cuts, and they're talking about that in committee tomorrow, in budget committee tomorrow.
I will just basically say that life is hard for me. It's really hard. And if I didn't have the family that I have and the people around me that they do supporting me, I would be homeless. 100%. I would be living on the streets. And then because of that being so fucking terrible and having to deal with it, I'd probably fucking become a drunk or even worse. So, look, this is going to hurt super soldiers if they cut Medicaid, if they make it harder to get Social Security, all this stuff. It's going to hurt people that supposedly the truther community cares about so fucking much. Let me be real. Though. You don't care about us, truther community. I'm not talking about the people here, but at large. If you cared about me, you'd listen to me. You'd listen to the fact that I've warned about this AI, that I've warned about Elon Musk. You'd listen to the now several people. Well, I don't know how many. It's at least a few people who have come forward and said that they've seen him at the hunting parties and stuff like that in Belgium. You'd listen to us, but instead you want to listen to CIA voice-to-skull technology telling you that Elon Musk is going to take us to the stars when you've literally had dozens of people come on your show that have been on Mars Colony, and Ceres Colony, and the moons of Jupiter, and all this stuff. It's like it's literally like the truther community is gaslighting its fucking self right now. That's literally what's going on right now, and that's why my channel is the way it is. That's why I've done the lone wolf. I have my wonderful fiance with me, but other than that, I'm just kind of doing this on my own now. Mm-hmm. It's because I can't stand to watch this shit. Like, you know, my father, Carl Emmerman, like, not my father in this life, Kurt Wood, who is a great man, but from the programs, the one from the alternate reality, where I really come from, Carl Emmerman is a Nazi. I come from a Nazi bloodline. I see this shit and I need to speak out against it. It's my responsibility to do it because I've participated in it, because I've been a part of it, because I've seen timelines. There's timelines where I've literally been a fucking SS soldier. Literally. I know what their propaganda looks like. I know how they weasel their way in and get everybody to agree with what they're doing. That's what you need to understand about. In World War II, in Nazi Germany, people liked Hitler. They liked him. The guy that sent millions of people to their fucking death in the camps, people liked him. He had charisma. People fucking loved listening to him do speeches and shit. They loved it. And not only that, he, of course, just like all these fascists do, every once in a while they say true things, like the government's doing this or that, and they're right. They sometimes their ammunition is real. The things they're firing with are real. But the way they want you to respond, you cannot give it to them, because it will sink not only this whole entire country, but this earth and this entire timeline into a darkness that you do not want to experience. I promise you that. And I seriously wish more people would listen to me. But instead, it's like you said earlier, they're all buying the copium. The people are selling copium and they're buying it. Here's the things. They believe their own bullshit. They believe in Trump. They believe in Elon. They believe that Elon's going to... They believe in all the stuff because it's so nice. It's so nice and glittery and
it's so
beautiful.
easy to have daddy take care of you.
It's so easy to have daddy take care of you. It's so easy to have savior programming. You got fucking, they're selling it really well. Like all these crystal light workers with their bowls and stuff like that are like these soft feminine personalities and stuff like that, literally selling you the idea of this shit. They love it. They love it. These people that are controlling this stuff behind the scenes, they absolutely love what the SSP community and what the truther community at large is doing. I mean, man, I love James Rink, but like, he literally posted a channeling of Donald Trump onto his channel recently. You realize the motherfucker's alive, right? If he actually gave a shit about us, he'd come on your channel and talk to you. You wouldn't have to have a psychic channel him. You make us look bad by doing that shit. I love you, James. Love you so much. In fact, I'm even supposed to be on this show in the future and stuff like that, because he's willing to listen to my opinion and my side of things. But, dude, that's crazy to me. That's just absolutely crazy to me. And I try not to name names, because even when I'm talking about people that I disagree with, I don't mean to disrespect them. And there are people who are unfortunately going along with this program that I love. And they're good people. They're not bad people. But when you see the vitriol and the hatred, then I start the question, are you a good person? Are you a good person when you're talking about how we should like basically beat up trans people in the streets and stuff like that? Like, are you actually a light worker? Are you actually a good person? Like, I'm going to say no. But anyway, let's listen to more of what this guy who's absolutely laying down the fucking gauntlet. Let's hear what else he has to say.
At least their plan. So let me be clear. When Republicans talk about government efficiency in this Congress, they're not looking into billionaires who don't pay their taxes. They're not looking into billionaires who get rich off of government contracts. They're not looking into Elon Musk firing watchdogs who are supposed to keep him accountable.
I know I shouldn't interrupt it this quickly, but if you're not an American, which I know some of you aren't American, but even if you're an American, Reaganomics, look into this. The idea is the rich get richer, it trickles down, you don't need to tax them. You can actually watch graphs. Like, dude, it all goes down from there. Mm-hmm. As soon as that idea was introduced, America started going into the shitter. Mm-hmm. And to think that we can have a right-wing administration that is literally emulating Reagan, make America great again, was Reagan's slogan before it was Trump's. It's lunacy. It's lunacy to think that Reagan 2.0 was going to fix this shit. They're the people who caused the problem in the fucking first place. And that's no other truther channel will tell you that. You're only going to hear that here on Disclosure Now, because I'm not fucking brainwashed.
They're looking at cutting your public schools. They're going straight for your Social Security. They're coming straight for cancer research. They're coming straight for the Department of Education. They're not looking at big tech. They're not looking at big pharma, because those people fund their campaigns. If this committee were serious about rooting out waste from our federal government, then today's whole hearing would be about how Musk and Donald Trump are firing the independent watchdogs who've done this work for decades. Instead, my Republican colleagues' actual goal on this committee is to distract from Trump and from Musk's corrupt war on accountability. This will not be a subcommittee dedicated to making government efficient for everyday people. It's about helping Elon Musk and Donald Trump be as efficient as possible in robbing our government and handing out our government services to the rich. So this seems that this subcommittee is just
The
going to
gentleman's
be like
time
the
has
agency it's named
expired.
after.
The gentleman's
Texans don't play, all right? Doesn't matter what side of the aisle that they're on. When they come in, they bring the heat. And this mother, he brought in the heat, man.
time has expired.
A total sham.
The American people are $36 trillion in debt. It certainly seems reasonable that someone has been fired. I now recognize the gentleman from Tennessee.
You're going to put us
Mr.
further in debt
Burchett.
with your billionaire
You're
tax
not
cuts.
recognized. Mr. Burchett, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chair Lady. The gravy train for a lot of these folks, it's been on biscuit wheels, and it's about to run off the dadgum tracks, and it's about time. Could you imagine standing up here and defending waste, fraud, and abuse? But I think that's what we're seeing when people squeal.
They're not listening to this motherfucker. Did you just listen to this guy talk? Did you hear him talk at all? Like, what? Like, what? He just said that he like, we like, this is what you did. What the fuck, dude? Oh my God, dude.
Don't ask questions. I think it shows the American public what the heck's going on. And that little gravy train is getting ready to run out. The spigot is getting ready to be turned off. Mr. Talcove, that's correct how you say your name, brother?
Yes, sir.
All right. How can the federal government improve identity verification for these entitlement programs?
Yeah, it's doing what the private sector does every single day, whether you use your bank, you go to Amazon, using those tools and moving away from some of the dated compliance standards that the federal government uses. NIST IAL 863, 2017, before there was anything called deepfakes and generative AI tools.
I think that this could potentially be real due to memories that I have and stuff. But Trump is a creep. You need to understand that too. The people below him, like the Democrats, left-wing people like Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, these kind of people, I think they're way more depraved than Trump. In fact, they're so depraved that it's hard to imagine. But you have to understand this guy also, Trump is a guy who walks into like, he's part of America's Top Model, and he just walks in there while they're changing and stuff, and he thinks it's okay. And he publicly acknowledges how much of a misogynist and stuff like that he is. And a lot of his base is just perfectly okay with that. And, you know, if we're going to call a spade, if that actually happened, I want to see evidence. So this is the thing with a lot of the supposedly really great things that Trump is doing when it comes to like insider information from SSP people and like QAnon type stuff is you never see proof. You never ever fucking see proof. Like it's always just wild claims that so and so did this and that happened, and then nothing. I remember depositions and stuff like that during the first Trump presidency, and supposedly all these people were going to go down, and all this stuff happened. He had 4 years, nothing happened. Is it going to happen this time? So if that happened, great. And I also want to, you know, hopefully you can acknowledge here with me, the Democratic Party has completely failed us for the past, I don't know, since Obama, before then even. They've just been completely failing us. So don't sit here and postulate like I'm cheering on the Democratic Party. Like I would not be in a similar position right now if Kamala won. I would be questioning the stuff that she's doing and the new steps that they're taking forward in certain ways as well. But what I'm saying is this is accelerationism and this is bad. It would have been the slow burn with Kamala, which would have been bad. The status quo, people were so used to it. It would have been the frog in the boiling pot. It could have literally killed America. But now we have this chaos, and it's a fast burn. And it's, are we going to put out the fire, like actually put out the fire, or are we going to allow these people to do this? That's my opinion. And you know, if he found all these missing children, which I really hope he did, I really do. Where's the proof? I want to see the proof. And like all the stuff about him, like reaching out to the super soldier community and the MK Ultra victims and stuff like that. Where's my letter from him, from the White House, inviting to talk with me? Once I get that stuff, all right, I'll start listening to you guys more about this. But until I see evidence and proof that this is actually happening on the level that you people are saying, I'm going to be questioning of it. And I also want to point out that there are, people who have claimed that they've seen Trump in these circles and at these events that a lot of these satanic cabal people are at. And a lot of people who are deep insiders are claiming that he's a part of it. He's a part of it. My memories aren't clear enough to say all the memories that I have of Trump are not bad. I have a couple of them. I have like 2 memories of them, and they're not bad. They're not negative memories. So that's one thing I hope that people can sense from me is I'm trying to be balanced. Like, I'm trying to be realistic. Like, hopefully we can use this as a moment in American history where we examine the spending going on and do something about it. But I'm just saying, don't give the keys to Elon Musk, the billionaire that literally is a corporate welfare recipient to the tune of billions of dollars. I'm not being unreasonable. I'm not. Like, anyway, this guy's a fucking, I can already tell he's going to be a waste of time to listen to.
Days of DOGE existing, we know that.
Love her.
Okay, so
Elected.
we're going to go back a little bit. That other guy just totally just didn't even listen to the other dude. And I don't know, just, it was really annoying to hear him start talking. Let's see what she has to say.
6.2 million words in a 10,000-page document that shows how to implement the rules of the program. Nobody can figure that out. So one of the things that I think has to happen is the simplification of these processes and systems, and then just use the technology that we use every day in the private sector.
Okay, thank y'all so much for being
The
here.
gentleman's time has expired.
Thank you, Chair Lady.
I now recognize the gentlewoman from Texas, Ms. Crockett, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Mr. Talcove, I'm just going to go ahead and pick up where you left off really quickly. Just to be clear, the upgrades that you're talking about as it relates to our data processes, these aren't things that would be free, are they? They would cost some kind of money. Not looking for a number, but they will cost, correct?
Some are free and some would cost money.
Okay. All right. So I just want to leave it there because we've had a number of these hearings. So I do want to be clear, before the Trump administration came in, this committee did exist in the form of the Oversight Committee, and our task is to root out waste, fraud, and abuse. In that vein, we had a number of hearings, at least last term. I can't speak for any other term as I'm only in my sophomore term, and we dealt with improper payments. And interestingly enough, our chairwoman, who is so passionate about this today, she missed every single one of those improper payment hearings. But just to be clear, I was there, so I don't want anyone to believe that Democrats just come to work and don't plan to do work. In fact, I'm trying to figure out exactly what it is that the Republicans believe our job is, because right now they have relinquished their constitutional duties over to an unelected bureaucrat, someone who no one went out to vote for, and absolutely he is occupying the.
And the excuse is, well, Trump said that he was going to do this, and it's like, so Trump, what Trump say he's going to invade China, and then he does it, and it's like, oh, but he said he was going to, so it's okay. Like, no, it's not okay.
Oval Office, as we saw yesterday, and that is a first for me to see someone occupying the Oval Office who's never actually been elected to the Oval Office and actually answering more questions than the person that allegedly got elected. But for whatever reason, this is the first time we're having a DOGE subcommittee hearing, and that guy's not here. Instead, we have y'all. So I do want to thank you for coming. But I will say this, it's also interesting to me that in the first few
this is an oversight committee on DOGE, and Elon Musk isn't even fucking there. Like, how are, I know some of you are here. There's like 1 or 2 of you here, right? Like Explore America. Like, how are you fooled by this shit? Like, I just don't understand it. Like, I'm not trying to be rude. Like, I feel like you've watched me. I've been on here with Trump supporters, right-wing people. Fucking man, the guy who would moderate Penny Bradley's show and stuff like that was literally a J6er, and I consider him a friend. Because I was in the programs with him and stuff. He's a Montauk survivor. So it's like this whole idea that I just super duper left wing and I'm just some libtard being unreasonable is stupid. It's stupid. I've worked with too many people across the aisle for too long to be like gaslit and told that. Like, and all I'm asking is the people who do support Trump to look at this like we all need to stop doing this binary programming. Like, because like when people come in, they're like, yeah, the people you voted for, though, I didn't vote for anybody. I don't believe in it anymore. I believe it's giving my consent and power away to people. Maybe I believe in voting like locally, like for the city I live in, or maybe even state. But I just feel like in a way it's like taking our own power away from us. And to last presidential election, I wouldn't really be thrilled if Kamala would have won. I would just be like, eh. All I'm saying is I'm not cheering this on with you guys. Like, I wouldn't be cheering on Kamala either. So I really just hope people can recognize that. Like, I'm not a hardcore, like, I'm trying to be just balanced. I'm not trying to lean one way or the other way more than the other. I'm just trying to be balanced. And again, like I said earlier, this idea that our tax monies shouldn't go towards us, like things like Medicaid, things like that, like our tax money, it's there to come back to us and benefit society. That's what it's there for. And this whole idea that it just shouldn't, that it should never do that is crazy and weird. Now, if our government's sending a bunch of money over to foreign countries and stuff like that, and we need oversight on it, more so, good. But not by a billionaire who doesn't even show up to his own oversight hearing. Because that's what this is, and he's not there.
Few days of DOGE existing, we know that they are trying to get rid of the Department of Education, USAID, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. They're laying off FAA workers. They are going after the FDA, the CDC, the HHS.
Okay, FAA. And now planes are just like crashing in the sky. Do you think that's good, you guys? They're laying off FAA workers, and now there's just planes crashing everywhere. That is a direct result of Trump's policies. And this is making people afraid of travel, which, what did I say before the trains started exploding? Or excuse me, before the planes started exploding and crashing all over the place. To those of you who have been paying attention, you can even see in the comments if you want. Like, what have I been saying? They're trying with the borders getting tighter and all that stuff, and militarized police the borders and things like this. And this idea that we need stronger borders and stronger national security all across the globe. It's they're trying to limit human movement. This is happening right as the U.S. Real ID Act is which is an RFID chip in our IDs, which Alex Jones was warning us about over 10 years ago. Not that I'm saying a huge fan of him anymore, because he's kind of gone off the deep end. But you know, back in the day, he was more reasonable, and he was right. This RFID chip technology is dangerous, and yeah. Doge fits Mussolini's original definition of fascism very well. Guess where Doge actually comes from?
Yeah.
It comes from Italy.
Yeah, so I was actually going to bring this up around the end, but yeah, there was in the 1600s, there was if you look up on if you guys, so I found out about this via TikTok. I'll talk about this while he's in the restroom. So there actually used to be in the 1600s in Italy, there was the Doge of Venice. It was the highest role of authority within the Republic of Venice, originally referring to any military leader becoming in the late Roman Empire the title for a leader of an expeditionary force formed by detachments from the frontier army. But yeah, so basically the Doge of Venice acted as both the head of state and the head of Venetian oligarchy, and it was also a unelected position, I believe. So that's just a pretty interesting little tidbit there.
Historical context.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Catherine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go look it up on Wikipedia, the Doge of Venice.
Elon is scripted as he comes, he hides the well. That's what he was doing with his son. Using his son as a shield, basically.
Yeah.
And, you know, ironically, if a woman would have done that.
Oh, that would have been, yeah.
Like a guy doing it, it's like PR stunt. Like, ooh, look at the amazing father. But if a woman does it.
Oh, she's unprofessional.
Yeah, that's think about it. Isn't that true, guys? Like, isn't that how it would have been perceived if it would have been a woman doing the same thing? They would have, like, I don't know. It's something to think about. Not that I'm saying, like, it was terrible or whatever, but. Like, whatever, people should have their kids around them more. Like, I'm not gonna knock on that, but I do understand that it was a PR move, and that's the reason why I did it.
meat shield.
The FBI agent getting rid of FEMA, and they brought y'all in. And I am going to say that I actually was shocked that there was only one person that seemed like he was an overt Trumper as you laid out your opening remarks, because I anticipated that at least one of y'all would say, yes, what Elon is doing is exactly what we would prescribe. But instead, I will applaud you because you actually were focused. You talked about what the American people are looking for us to do. We've actually consistently on this side of the aisle promoted this idea of making investments into technology so that we can do things such as, say, look at the Department of Defense. The Department of Defense that takes up approximately, 50% of our discretionary income or our discretionary spending. Approximately 50% goes to Department of Defense. Department of Defense has not been able to pass an audit in the last 6 audits, and we're not talking about pennies. I understand that we want everything to be perfect, and if we could get all waste, fraud, and abuse out, that would be fantastic. But let me talk about the big numbers. The big numbers are on that side. When we look at, say, our entire workforce, our federal workforce, as we're trying to somehow fire all of them, they don't even make up a total of 5%. It's even less than that when we look at our budget. But let's talk about defense. That just happens to be the same side of the ledger that Mr. Musk gets the vast majority of his money from. In fact, at the same time that they were unlawfully, and we will stay in court, because on this side, we believe in law and order. We believe in, a number of us are actually lawyers, but nevertheless, we understand the Constitution. We believe in that as well. And so there's things such as, impoundment, right? Because as Mr. Whitson said—
I just hope that if any of you are more like people who are on the side of the aisle who are supporting the Trump thing, that I hope that I've given you the opportunity. If some of you are still here, thank you for giving me the opportunity and seeing my side. I hope you're seeing the way a lot of these other truther people are painting is if you're mad at the people investigating the corruption, you're the corruption. But no, it's more of a nuanced situation than that. And if you don't just listen to just parrots on the internet that are just all copying each other, and you actually examine it and you actually watch the fucking congressional hearing, this is no fat here. We've trimmed out all the bullshit. This is an actual congressional hearing. When you watch it and you listen to these Democrats who are talking about the grievances I had with this, it's 100% reasonable and comes from a sound place. And this whole idea in the truther community that no, it's just Daddy Elon and Daddy Trump coming in to save the fucking day and just make America great again and bring us to a golden timeline and all this shit. It's ridiculous. You're not listening to the other side, and then you're calling the other side mind control. Which the whole fact that we look at everything as two sides is part of the mind control, and we should stop doing that because really we're all on the same side and we want the same thing.
They want America to have 2 dads. How progressive.
They want
for a bunch of homophobes.
They want America to have two dads. How progressive. That's great. Yeah. That is progressive of them. But anyway,
he said we need to return the power of the purse to Congress. It never left. According to the Constitution, that's where it's at. Now, I know that people are confused right now because for whatever reason, we had a guy that went in, and you talk about people invading our data. Listen, people said that they were upset about TikTok, but I'm upset about the guy that runs Twitter, who for sure is doing nefarious things, because I don't understand. If you are trying to conduct audits and figure out where the waste, fraud, and abuse is, I don't know why you would go to some tech guy. In fact, it was only techies that were sitting there at inauguration. We didn't have auditors. I would welcome auditors to come in and do forensic audits. In fact, he sat there in the Oval Office yesterday and he admitted that he was lying, and he was using his propaganda machine to do it when he said that we sent millions of dollars to Gaza for condoms. That was a lie. So let me tell you something.
The gentlelady's time has expired. The gentlelady's time has expired.
And rein in this rogue actor known as
The gentlelady's
Elon
time
Musk.
has expired. I now recognize the gentleman from Missouri, Mr. Burleson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to speak frankly at first to the American people. We're nearing $37 trillion in national debt. What does that mean? That means that each and every U.S. taxpayer owes over $323,000. Okay? What does that mean? That means when the EPIC, which is the Economic Policy Innovation Center, says we have 18 trillion left, that's it. 18 trillion left to take out, and we're spending $2 trillion in debt every year. Folks, we're at the precipice of a debt, like a debt cycle. We are literally at a point in which the dollar will be worth nothing. What does that mean? And I mean, we know Social Security goes bankrupt in 8 years, right? Medicare goes bankrupt in 10 years. And then 15 years from now, the dollar is completely devalued and worth nothing. So what does that mean? That means your pension, the money in your bank, your savings is nothing. It's worthless. So what are we doing? We're trying to save this country. We're trying to save your pensions. We're trying to save your bank accounts. We're trying to save this country for the next generation, and it would be nice if we had help. But instead, we have people that are fighting us on this. And I think that I would hate to be in the Democratic Party right now because you're in a really bad bind. You're having to defend all of this crazy spending, all of this crazy waste. So how do you do it? You do ad hominem attacks. You attack the messenger. Oh, Elon Musk, right? He's rich. He must be evil, right? That's the attacks. Really?
It's not that he's rich, which honestly, I'm gonna be real. If you have that much money, you probably are fucking evil. But it's not that he's rich. It's the fact that he's unelected, and it's the fact that he's stealing our money. Like literally, I just want to remind you guys, $13 billion in the past 5 years of your money.
Yeah.
Billion with a B went towards Elon Musk. So he's a hypocrite.
Yeah.
He's a hypocrite. Like, how the fuck can he talk about this?
And he directly benefits from military spending, so you notice that they're talking about cutting the things that benefit ordinary people. They're not talking about gutting any military spending because that would be bad for his bottom line.
Yeah, so we've got the military, and people have talked about this. That so much of it's going to the program, like the programs, the military money, and then like they've talked about people have talked about a table for the military. Oh, they'll say it costs $20,000 for a table, and then they'll use the rest of that money for secret shady shit. It's not being addressed at all. At all. It's 50% over. Let's look it up. How much of the United States spending is military? Okay. Let's look. 13% of its federal budget, 820. Okay, so that's a lot less than 50%, but still, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's 2023, and 820 billion on a national fiscal year. Yeah, that's still only 13%. That's like nothing. They do need to look at that, but that's not going to solve the problem, unfortunately. I thought they spent it was like 50% or something for some reason. Well, I'm glad I looked that up because I don't want to state false facts on the show. So something to look into still.
You can't do any better than that, right? Let's talk on the policy. Help us. We're trying to save this country. This is and Elon Musk, who's making no money doing this, is trying to save this country. Why? Because he has invested.
How is he he's definitely making money off this. That's the whole fucking point.
In the United States of America more than anybody, right? So I think that we should embrace it. In fact, not a single company, governor of any state would ever turn down Elon Musk and his team of DOGE from coming in and providing free services to right the course and financially in any state or organization. It's ridiculous that we would demonize someone that loves this country so much. Mr. Whitman, the formation of agencies via the executive action is not new, right? The formation of DOGE is not new. Can you are you familiar with any other previous presidencies where they've formed organizations like DOGE via executive action?
Yeah, so actually the agency that DOGE is occupying is one that was created in a previous administration. So it is something that happens routinely. But I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, there's been the Office of Budget Management was created, Environmental Protection Agency was created, the U.S. Digital Service, which is now DOGE, was created all by executive order, right?
And actually, one other I'd add is USAID was originally created through an executive order by President Kennedy and then later formalized.
And then, Madam Chair, I have a video I would like to end with that just, let's review, if we could cue that, to remind, and I want to remind my Democratic friends, at a point in which you once had the majority of the American people on your side, this is what your party believed in.
This report tells us how to cut waste, cut red tape, streamline the bureaucracy, change procurement rules, change the personnel rules, and create a government that works better and costs less.
I've read it, and where it says the president should, the president will.
Among the 800 recommendations, eliminating 12% of the federal workforce, merging some government agencies like the FBI, the DEA, and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, closing hundreds of government offices outside Washington.
From the day I took office, one of the commitments that I made to the American people was that we would do a better job here in Washington in rooting out wasteful spending. We thought that it was entirely appropriate for our governments and our agencies to try to root out waste, large and small, in a systematic way. It means cutting some programs that I think are worthy, but we may not be able to afford right now. A lot of the action is in Congress and legislative, but in the meantime, we don't need to wait for Congress in order to do something about wasteful spending that's out there. We haven't seen as much action out of Congress as we'd like, and that's why we launched on our own initiative the campaign to cut waste. And we're going to keep on finding every possible way that we can do that, even if Congress is not acting. There you go.
I think it speaks for itself. My time has expired.
The gentleman's time has expired. Thank you. I now yield to the gentlewoman from the District of Columbia, Ms. Norton, for 5 minutes.
Thank you. Our Republican colleagues and the Trump administration continue to demonize our friends and neighbors who work for the federal government and swear an oath to protect the Constitution and serve the public. Thousands of civilian federal employees have given their lives in the line of duty for their country. The administration seems intent on dismantling much of the federal government in violation of the Constitution, statutes, and regulations. And our Republican colleagues are letting them do it. They want to gut the nonpartisan civil service and to convert a significant portion of the remaining civil service into political appointees. Depriving the federal government of employees' expertise and experience will harm the services that the government provides to all Americans. Mr. Hetler-Garlett, the administration is attempting to cause a mass exodus from our federal workforce. Will this increase or decrease waste, fraud, and abuse?
Thank you, Delegate Norton. I think it's pretty clear that chaos is not the friend of efficiency. If you undermine the very functionality of the government, you are not going to make it more efficient. You're going to make it worse, and it's going to cost even more money to recoup or to fix things that go wrong in the interim. So again, I mentioned earlier that if you care about waste, fraud, and abuse, firing Inspector General doesn't add up. I think if you care about government being more efficient, I think intentionally creating chaos is the opposite of that.
Well, Mr. Hetler-Garlett, do federal employees operate without oversight or rules and regulations?
No, absolutely not. They are governed by plenty of rules and regulations, and when there are independent Inspector General at the agency they're supposed to be at, they also have a cop on the beat making sure that they do so.
I want to highlight some stories demonstrating exactly the kinds of federal workers the administration is trying to force out. How about Chris Mark at the Department of Labor, whose pioneering work on mine safety has reduced minor safety deaths from roof collapses to almost zero today? Or Jared Koopman at the Internal Revenue Service, who pioneered new methods for tracking criminal cybersecurity currency transactions that led to the rescue of 23 children from rape and assault, as well as the seizure of hundreds of millions of child abuse videos and 370 pedophile arrests. This work also prevented funding from going to terrorist groups, or Ronald E. Walters, who manages the 155 national cemeteries around the country and tends to the resting places of almost 4 million veterans. These are just a few of the federal workers who serve Americans every day. The workers are wildland firefighters, border guards.
Apparently this guy does. We work for the American people. And so if an unelected, unvetted individual private citizen is hacking our government systems, breaking the law, firing federal employees, dismantling statutorily created agencies, withholding funds, we are going to fight you in the courts. And I'm actually really sad that my dear friend Mr. Burchett left, because I want to talk about that gravy train on biscuit wheels that he just talked about, because that gravy train is not the federal workforce, it's the billionaires that are trying to hack that system right now, and which unfortunately my colleagues right now are working on a reconciliation deal to cut Medicaid, to cut Medicare, and use that money to give to tax breaks to their billionaire buddies. That is the gravy train that is actually going on here. But because this is the oversight...
And it's true. It's true. Like, how can people not fucking see it? Like, I'm going to reiterate here. I'm going to keep on repeating. $13 billion in the past 5 years Elon Musk stole right out of your fucking pocket.
Committee, let's do a little bit of oversight. For the last several weeks, I've been talking to Treasury.
Does he build fancy cars that only rich people can afford? How the fuck does that help me? How does there a Tesla factory existing help me? I can't buy one of those cars. I can't afford one. And I bet you nobody in this chat can. Maybe one or two people.
And OMB officials to try to get to the bottom of why Elon Musk and his team are trying to hack the Treasury payment system. Because this is a completely nonpartisan system that literally just pays the bills of the federal government. So why are they so eager to hack this system? And I have to say that over the last several weeks, we have literally received thousands of calls in every single congressional office. In fact, we know that our friends across the aisle are also receiving these calls because this system pays the bills of the U.S. government. It pays our soldiers. It pays for the work that we do overseas. It pays your Social Security benefits. It pays your tax refunds. So why is Elon Musk and his hackers trying to access that system? And why did a senior civil servant who had overseen this system for over 30 years get asked to stand down after a 25-year-old intern working for Elon Musk tried to get access to the code for that system? Now, thankfully, they were shut down in the court system, but Musk has installed, with the president's blessing, one of his Silicon Valley buddies, who I want to point out, in which the media has not paid a lot of attention to, is the CEO of a private IT company, including Citrix, that has millions of dollars in IT contracts with the federal government. And not only is he still operating as the installed DOGE person at Treasury, he's actively still the CEO of this private company. How is that even legal? Is it legal? I don't think it's legal, because the federal court is trying to shut this down. We also know that that 25-year-old software engineer, in violation of the court order, was actually given access to modify the code. So what is going on here? And why is this such a threat to the American people? Why are thousands of people calling us? It's because of the size and the significance of these payments, because it is an invasion of the privacy and security of the American people, because it could threaten our ability as a country if there was a default in the debt ceiling, and because it contains highly classified information that our foreign adversaries are trying to cyber attack us regularly for. So why is a private citizen being given access to this
Okay,
system,
so we
and they're
gotta
trying
pause
to
this real quick. So we're gonna get deep for a second. This is gonna seem like it's not on subject, but I just want to bring this up because it's very deep and personal to me, Amy. And so I come from a long line of super soldiers. My father is a super soldier. My uncle was a super soldier, and they were brutalized from the programs. They were raised in a very MK Ultra trauma based mind control household where like my grandpa would like throw like smash eggs on like my grandma's head and like shave her head and shit, just abuse her, and they had no money, and they just came from trauma, and because of that, both my father and my uncle have severe mental illness. And essentially, what happened to my uncle is because of his mental illness, um, he was in and out of mental institutions for basically his whole life. When he saw that he was a threat to himself or others, he would do the right thing and he would try to get help. Unfortunately, we live in a society that doesn't care about mentally ill people at all. We don't put money towards it. We don't put the resources. This is another thing that Reagan completely destroyed. They completely destroyed mental health treatment in this country. Every time there's a school shooting that happens, the Republicans love to bring up how we need to treat mental health, but never bring up the fact that they're the ones who gutted mental health services in this country in the first place. And essentially, what happened to my uncle after being put in these situations so many times? He got a letter in the mail, much like you, Amy, where they basically said he owed them like thousands of dollars in debt, and he didn't have the money. And that, coupled with a lot of other stuff going on in his life, he took his own life. He unalived himself, as they would say, which was a terrible tragedy. For me, it's probably the first like really traumatic event that ever happened in my life. And yeah, very similar situation where all of a sudden he just gets a letter in the mail one day saying that he owes the government thousands of dollars. They also did this with Social Security. They would be like, "Oh, we overpaid you and you owe us money now." Like, so this actually happens to people and actually destroys people's lives. And we have a very real, like, there's a real person in the chat so basically all the stuff that's going on right now, it's harming people. And if there's fraud and there's waste going on, we do need to take care of it. But as the lady spoke, there's already been an oversight committee. They're already been trying to take care of these issues, and they're acting like it's some brand new thing and handing the keys to the White House basically to Elon Musk by acting like it's this new thing.
And I should also mention, like, I mean, this is literally just people that I'm seeing on TikTok, so like take it with a grain of salt. But I've seen more than one person on TikTok saying that this month when they're getting their payments, they're getting shorted, a couple $100 or so, or $70, or people have money that is
And
missing
you got to keep
that
in
they're
mind
supposed
that
to get.
they do that to millions of people easily with the flip of a switch, and then all of a sudden they're putting that money somewhere else. I don't know what you should do. I would try to get a lawyer and fight it, but also that costs money, so it's disgusting, and I'm sorry that you have to go through that even.
Yeah, if news media go to local news, they go with stories like this all the time. I'm very sorry to hear that that's happened to you.
This is programming, because then you're gonna be turned into this. I've been a nomad traveler, and most of us turn into them, and you're gonna be doing missions and stuff like that, and altering out and not realizing it, and be careful. But yeah, that's a part of it. A lot of us give this drive to be nomads because of the programming. But anyway, I'm gonna keep letting this woman talk here.
down payments. They're trying to shut down agencies. What's next? Are they going to shut down your Social Security payments? We don't know, because they have no oversight, and Elon Musk will not come in front of this committee. And in fact, the Treasury folks are saying this is the biggest insider threat they've ever seen in the history of the agency. So we are sounding the alarm. And no matter how many executive orders that Donald Trump signs or how many tweets that the VP sends, you cannot rewrite the Constitution, and we are going to hold you to account. I yield back.
The gentlelady yields, and I now recognize, oh, yes.
I have 3 documents I want to submit for the record. The
What are
the first document is the Constitution, Article 2. I would like to submit that for the record. That clearly spells out the president's authority. I would also like to submit for the record 5 U.S. Code 3161, the employment compensation of employees, which clearly spells out his authority to create DOGE. And then I want to submit for the record the executive order that Trump issued on January 20th of 2025, establishing DOGE officially.
Without objection, so ordered. I now recognize the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Gill, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for hosting this committee. If we've learned anything so far, it's that Republicans want to cut waste, fraud, and abuse from our federal government and save taxpayer dollars, and Democrats want to grandstand and play politics. We can see right now, even of the 6 Democrats on this committee, only 1 can even be bothered to stay for the duration of this hearing.
The tactics they're using.
All we've heard about for most of this hearing from the other side of
Yeah, it's such to like if you're it's such divide and conquer, mind control bullshit. Like if you're against a billionaire having the keys to everybody's social security numbers, you fucking think wasteful spending is good. It's these people they're not listening.
Yeah, and notice the press secretary lady, when she was like, they gave such and such for a DEI musical, and basically using all these like hot button issues to drive the wedge even further. Because that's the hot button thing right now. DEI.
the aisle is Elon Musk.
Yeah, DEI caused the planes to crash, not the fact that Trump fired a bunch of FAA regulation people and just deregulated the air industry. No, that has nothing to do with it. It's DEI.
Musk, unelected bureaucrat. And I'd like to ask if Democrats really care about unelected bureaucrats making decisions over our lives, where were they whenever their god Anthony Fauci was forcing vaccine and mask mandates on the American people for 4 years during the during the COVID crisis? Where were they whenever unelected Alejandro Mayorkas was facilitating the invasion of our country by illegal aliens who were murdering and raping and
None of this has anything to do with what they're talking about.
Pillaging our people? Where were they whenever the Secretary of Education, unelected Cardona, targeted states and schools and people who were disagreed with his view of the radical left's transgender ideology? Where were they whenever Gary?
Literally, none of this has to do with what they're talking about. I'm gonna listen to this guy talk.
To get their arms around this problem, Elon Musk and the DOGE team went straight to the source. They went to the Treasury Department's fiscal service, which makes about 90% of the trillions in federal payments issued annually. The audit of these payment systems was long overdue. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent gave DOGE employees working for the government read-only access to these systems so they could conduct that initial audit. That audit is already paying dividends. Musk learned that the databases federal agencies are supposed to check to prevent payments to fraudsters, crime rings, and dead people are not being kept up to date. Going forward, we are going to get more mileage out of these do not pay databases. That means fewer improper payments and less fraud and waste of taxpayer dollars. Despite this fraud that's already been revealed, a federal judge in New York issued a ruling last Friday that ran totally contrary to the will of the people. The judge blocked not only DOGE, but the Treasury Secretary himself from accessing his own agency's payment systems. That's absurd. Only career Treasury Department unelected bureaucrats can access the system, the judge ruled. This turns the Constitution on its head. We will hold this judge and others who try to stop the will of the people and their elected leaders accountable. As is written in the Federalist Papers, The judiciary has no influence over either the sword or the purse, no direction either of the strength or the wealth of the society. It may truly be said to have neither force nor will, but merely judgment, and must ultimately depend upon the aid of the executive arm for the efficacy of its judgments. But the whole DC swamp is freaking out that the unelected officials from DOGE were allowed access to these systems. That makes no sense. Federal judges were not elected. The Treasury bureaucrats were not elected, and they have failed to fix the problem that is enabling American taxpayers.
They prove themselves to be qualified. These people haven't, is what Kat just said.
Yeah.
To be robbed. So why not bring in skilled outside experts like private companies and private citizens who are successful in the real world to do
It's a fucking terrible idea if I've ever heard one.
everyday work that we need to get done here, like audits. Of course, federal payment systems.
Well, we're done. That's it. You guys already know how I feel about it. We're gonna answer a question here, which was, what can we do about all this? Just do what's right. Don't support like hatred or fascist ideologies. Because they're gonna start with they wiggle their way in. Just don't let them wiggle their way in. That's all.
Yeah.
I think we actually have way more of a chance of still winning this thing. And
Talk to your neighbors, build a food bank.
yeah, talk to your neighbors, know your community.
Volunteer to help out with childcare if you know someone who has kids. That's a good start.
Yeah, and with that being said, I want to thank everybody for being here. We're going to hold these people accountable. We're not going to let God, Emperor Trump, and Daddy Elon control our society and our planet. We're not going to let the AI timeline manifest. I really hope I start seeing more of the truther community come to the right side and realize what's going on with this stuff and that they're being played. And with that being said, thank you everybody for being here. Have a great
One
night.
for all and all for one. Yeah, I like that. 3 Musketeers.
All right. Have a good night, everybody.